Hi everyone, welcome back to Astral Card Vault. Today's love reading is about someone who held their heart back from you. Someone who may have acted calm, casual, guarded, maybe even a little emotionally unreachable. But underneath that stillness, there was a lot more happening than they allowed you to see. We're going to look into who this person is, why they froze, what changed inside them, and what action they're preparing to take next. And I want you to stay with me because this first card already feels very loud emotionally. We have the Hanged Man in reverse. Thank you. Spirit, let's see. What I'm feeling here is that this person has been stuck in their own emotional cage. They may have looked like they were choosing distance, but symbolically, this card shows someone who was suspended between fear and desire. They did not know how to move toward you without also feeling exposed. This is someone who watched, waited, thought, replayed conversations, but they held themselves back. And with this card reversed, there is a change. There is movement beginning after a long pause. This person is starting to realize that staying silent is no longer protecting them. It is costing them. For some of you, this person gave you mixed signals. They may have been warm one moment, then oddly controlled the next. You could feel the connection, but you could not always trust the direction. It may have made you wonder, do they actually care? Or am I imagining this? No, I don't feel you imagined it. I feel they had love, but they did not know what to do with it. The Hanged Man reversed tells me this person has been avoiding a decision. They may have told themselves, I'll deal with this later. I'll reach out when I'm ready. I'll explain when things settle down. But emotionally, things did not settle. The feelings got heavier. The silence got louder. And now there's this pressure building inside them. I want to see what made them hold back in the first place, because there is something here they have not fully admitted, maybe not even to themselves. So let's move into the next card, because I feel like this is where the heart of the reading starts to open. We're going deeper into why they stayed frozen when their heart was already involved. Okay, and now we have the Two of Cups. This is why I'm saying this person did not just feel something small. This is not giving me the energy of someone who was detached because they felt nothing. It feels more like they felt the mirror. They felt that emotional recognition with you, that feeling of, why does this person understand something in me that I have not even explained? And that may have been exactly why they froze. Because with the Two of Cups, the connection was mutual. Even if they did not show it properly, even if they acted casual, even if they tried to keep everything light, there was a real emotional exchange here. You may have noticed it in the way they looked at you, the way the conversation would suddenly get deeper, or the way the energy between you felt different from what they were saying out loud. That is what feels important. Their mouth may have said, let's not rush, and their behavior may have said, I'm not sure. But their energy was saying something else. For some of you, this person was very careful about not naming the connection. They may have avoided labels, avoided serious conversations, or kept acting like they were just going with the flow. But I feel like that was not because you meant nothing. It was because naming it would have made it real. And once it became real, they would have had to choose. What I'm feeling here is someone who was emotionally controlled, but not emotionally empty. Someone who may have wanted to stay in a safe little corner where they could enjoy your presence without having to take full responsibility for what they felt. The Two of Cups tells me they felt seen by you. And that can be beautiful. But for someone guarded, it can also feel very exposing. You may have touched a part of them they usually keep hidden. You may have made them feel soft when they were used to being strong. You may have made them want closeness. And that scared them because closeness always comes with risk. So if you felt confused, I understand why. Because this person likely gave you just enough to feel the bond, but not enough to feel secure. Now let's clarify this more carefully, because this Two of Cups feels tender, but there is still something behind it that feels protected. I want to see what exactly scared them about loving you openly. And here we have Justice in reverse. This is very interesting because this tells me the thing that scared them was not only the feeling, it was what the feeling was asking them to correct. Justice in reverse can show someone who knew they were not being fully fair. They may not have said that out loud, but internally, they knew. They knew they were giving you mixed energy. They knew they were holding back while still wanting access to your warmth. They knew they were letting you sit in uncertainty, and I feel like that started to weigh on them. There's something they were not saying. For some of you, this person was afraid that if they opened their heart, they would also have to admit where they had been wrong. And that can be difficult for someone who is used to staying composed, staying logical, staying in control. This person may have acted calm on the outside, very quiet, very reasonable, maybe even a little distant, like nothing was bothering them. But underneath that, I feel a lot of mental noise. They were overthinking what would happen if they chose you openly. Would you trust them? Would you believe them? Would you ask them why it took so long? Would they have to explain the silence and the inconsistency, the moments where they pulled away instead of leaning in? Let's clarify this, because justice in reverse makes me feel like vulnerability was tied to accountability. It was not just, I'm scared to love. It was also, I'm scared to face what I did while I was afraid. That is a different layer. And I don't say that to excuse them. I feel like you may have deserved more clarity than they gave you. You may have been patient. You may have tried to understand them. You may have even made excuses for them at times because you could feel there was something deeper there. But this card tells me they could not keep hiding behind confusion forever. What I'm feeling here is that they were scared of being truly seen by you because you would see the soft part, yes, but you would also see the avoidance. You would see the fear. You would see the places where they were not ready to show up, and that made them freeze. But there is something else here. Justice in reverse can point to an imbalance around them, a situation that was not settled, a responsibility, a past wound, or something from their life that made love feel complicated. So let's follow that thread now, because this is where the story starts to widen. I want to see what pressure around them may have made this connection feel heavier than they expected, and we have judgment in reverse. This is exactly that pressure I was feeling. Judgment in reverse can show someone who was not ready to fully wake up to the choice in front of them. They may have known, deep down, that this connection was asking them to grow, but they kept postponing that inner call. For some of you, this person had a lot going on in their practical world: work, money, family expectations, responsibilities, maybe trying to rebuild something in their own life. I'm getting this energy of someone saying, I can't add love to my life until I feel stable. But the truth is, they may have used that as a shield, because loving you required maturity. It required honesty. It required consistency. It required them to look at themselves and ask, am I really available for what I keep reaching for? And I feel like they were not fully available before. For some of you, there may have been an X energy around this person. Not necessarily that they wanted to go back, but something unresolved. A wound, a disappointment, a fear from a past connection where they felt judged, rejected, abandoned, or not enough. So when you came in with this Two of Cups energy, something genuine, something emotionally clean, they did not know how to receive it. Tell me more. Judgment in reverse feels like avoidance of a wake-up call. This person may have ignored their intuition about you. They may have felt that inner pull and still tried to tell themselves, no, it's not that serious. I'm fine. They're fine. This will pass. But it did not pass. And for some of you, distance or timing played a role here. Maybe your lives were not lining up easily. Maybe one of you had other obligations. Maybe this person kept thinking, when things calm down, then I'll do something. But life kept moving, and the connection started sitting there, unanswered. What I'm feeling here is that choosing you would have forced them to stop being halfway in their own life. That is why this matters. Because this was not just about sending a text or saying, I miss you. This was about becoming the kind of person who could stand beside you without hiding, without deflecting, without making you carry all the emotional weight. And I feel like they delayed that. But now, something is changing. This judgment in reverse tells me the wake-up call has been getting louder. They cannot stay in the same frozen place forever. So now I want to move into what shifted inside them. because this next energy feels like the moment where silence stops feeling safe and the wall they built starts feeling too lonely to live behind. And now we have the Nine of Wands. Thank you, Spirit. Let's see. This is that guarded energy again, but it feels different now. Before, the guarding felt like avoidance. Now it feels like someone who has been sitting with the consequences of their own walls. The Nine of Wands is someone who has been through something, someone who does not open easily, someone who may look tired emotionally, even if they would never admit that. And I feel like this person has spent time alone, thinking about what happened between the two of you, thinking about what they did not say, thinking about how they let the connection sit in this uncertain place. There is a change here, because in the past, their wall was pointed toward you. It was like, don't get too close, don't ask too much, don't make me feel what I'm not ready to handle. But now, I feel like they are realizing that the wall did not just keep them safe, it kept them away from you. And that is where this shift begins. For some of you, you pulled your energy back. You stopped reaching. You stopped explaining yourself. You stopped trying to make them comfortable at the cost of your own peace. And I feel like your absence started speaking louder than your presence ever did. That is important, because this person may have been used to you being emotionally available. They may have been used to feeling your warmth, even when they were being inconsistent. But when you became harder to access, not in a cold way, but in a self-respecting way, something woke up in them. They started missing the softness. They started missing the conversations. They started missing the way you made them feel understood without forcing them to perform or pretend. Tell me more. With the Nine of Wands, I feel they replayed small moments. Things you said, the way you reacted, the last conversation, the last time they felt your energy pull away, and maybe they thought they would be fine. Maybe they thought, I can handle this. I'm used to being alone. I'm used to keeping control. But this connection stayed with them. It did not leave quietly. What I'm feeling here is that they are still nervous. They are still guarded. But now the fear is not only, what if I open up and get hurt? Now it is. What if I waited too long? That is the turning point. And because that fear is shifting, their view of you is shifting too. So let's see how they are seeing you now, because this next card may show why they are starting to understand your value in a way they did not before. The next card coming through is Death. This is a very strong card for how they are seeing you now, because death is not always about an ending. Symbolically, this is transformation. This is the moment where something cannot stay the same anymore. And I feel like this person is seeing you as someone who changed them without even trying to force change. That is what feels very clear here. They may have thought they could keep you in the same place in their life, keep the connection open, but undefined. Keep you close enough to feel you, but far enough that they did not have to fully show up. But now they are realizing that version of the connection is gone. Something shifted. And I feel like they see that you are not the same person who was waiting for them to figure it out. Not in a harsh way, not in a bitter way, but in a way where your energy has matured. You feel more unavailable to confusion now, more protective of your peace, more aware of what you deserve. And that is making them look at you differently. What I'm feeling here is that they see you as emotionally rare, someone who brought depth into their life, someone who did not just entertain them or distract them, but actually made them feel something real, something that required them to face themselves. For some of you, they have tried to compare other people to you, and it does not feel the same. Maybe others are easier. Maybe others do not ask as much emotionally. Maybe others let them stay comfortable. But nobody carries the same weight in their heart. Nobody touches that same place. Nobody makes them feel that quiet pull that keeps returning. Even when they try to ignore it, death tells me they know something has to end if something better is going to begin. The old version of them has to end. The old pattern has to end. The casual energy has to end. The hiding has to end. And I feel like this person is seeing you as someone worth changing for. But that also scares them because changing for love means they cannot keep pretending they are unaffected. Let's see. They see you as someone stable, but also powerful. not loud power, not forceful power, more like quiet certainty. You may have pulled back and said very little, but your absence created a whole conversation inside them. Now that they see you differently, the next question is important. I want to know what they are going to do with this realization, because seeing your value is one thing, taking action is something else. And now we have the Four of Wands. This is action, but it feels like action that wants to create safety. The Four of Wands is not just someone sending a random message because they are bored. This feels like someone wanting to reopen the door in a way that feels more stable, more intentional, more grounded than before. For some of you, this person may ask to see you. They may say, "Oh, can we talk, or I want to catch up?" But underneath that simple message, there is a much bigger meaning. It may look small on the surface, but emotionally, it feels like them trying to come back into the space where the two of you once felt connected. And I do feel nervousness here. They may not come in with a huge speech right away. This feels like someone testing the floor before they step fully into the room. They may start with something gentle, something familiar, something that gives them a reason to reach out without immediately exposing everything they feel. But I feel like they know they cannot just come in casually anymore. That is the change. The Four of Wands can speak about wanting harmony, wanting peace, wanting to feel welcomed again. And I feel like this person is thinking about how to approach you without causing more confusion. They may be wondering if you are still open. They may be wondering if you have moved on. They may be wondering if they even have the right to ask for your time after being so inconsistent. Tell me more. For some of you, this could be an apology connected to a meeting, not just, "sorry," through a message and then nothing changes. I feel like they want a real conversation. They want to explain something. They want to show you that they are not in the exact same energy they were in before. Now, are they still scared? Yes, I feel that. But they are starting to understand that if they want a place in your life, they have to build something, not just visit when it feels convenient. That is important. Because the Four of Wands is about showing up to the connection with presence. It is not perfect, but it is more mature. It is them thinking about consistency, thinking about effort, thinking about what it would actually look like to choose you instead of keeping you in emotional limbo. So the action is forming here. But before we look at the deeper intention, I want to pull into what they secretly wish they could say, because their hidden feelings are sitting right underneath the surface. And now we have the Fool. This is interesting because the Fool feels like the part of them that wants to take the risk, but is still standing at the edge, trying to convince themselves they can do it. This is not someone who feels completely confident. This feels like someone whose heart is ahead of their comfort zone. And when I pull into the hidden feelings here, I keep getting that message I'm nervous. They may not show that. They may come across casual. They may even try to act like reaching out is no big deal. But underneath that, I feel nerves. I feel someone thinking about what to say, deleting messages, rewriting them, trying to sound calm when the truth is they are not calm about you. The Fool tells me they secretly want a new beginning, not necessarily in a loud, dramatic way. More like, can we start again from a more honest place? That is the feeling. And I'm getting love message energy here. It's like one card says, "I was afraid to give you my heart." Another says, "You make me feel something I cannot ignore." And I feel that very strongly because this person may have tried to ignore it. They may have tried to distract themselves. Focus on work, focus on responsibilities, focus on anything that did not require them to sit with how much they actually care. But you kept showing up in their energy. For some of you, there is music connected to this. I'm hearing, "I still listen to songs that remind me of you." Maybe there was a song you shared, a place you went, a certain time of day when they think about you. Something small keeps bringing them back. Tell me more. "I know I should have chosen you sooner." That one feels heavy. Because I feel like they know they waited. They know they hesitated. They know there were moments where they could have stepped closer, and instead, they stepped back into fear. There's another message here: I'm trying to become stable enough for this. So even though the Fool is about taking a leap, this person does not want to be reckless with you. They know you need more than chemistry. They know you need more than a message at midnight. They know you need consistency, honesty, and something that feels safe. What I'm feeling here is that their hidden feelings are more innocent than their past behavior made it seem. They were scared, they were guarded, but they were not untouched by this. Now that we have heard the hidden feelings, I want to see what they intend to do with them, because feelings can sit quietly forever if someone does not choose to act on them. And now, we have the King of Cups in reverse. Thank you, Spirit. Let's clarify why this is showing up. This is very telling for their intentions, because the King of Cups in reverse can be someone who has a lot of emotion, but has not always known how to hold it in a mature way. Not because they do not feel. I actually feel the opposite. I feel this person felt too much and then tried to control it by pulling back. Their energy feels different now, but this card tells me they are still learning how to come forward without letting fear speak for them. In the past, this may have been someone who acted emotionally controlled, but inside, things were not as calm as they looked. They may have gone quiet when they should have been honest. They may have made you guess where you stood. They may have given you affection, then suddenly taken space, and I feel like they regret that. They regret making you feel uncertain. They regret making you wonder if you were important. They regret that you had to read between the lines when they should have just told you the truth. What I'm feeling here is that their intention now is to do something more emotionally honest. But I want to be balanced with this. I do not feel this person is suddenly perfect. I do not feel like all their fears disappear overnight. This is still someone who may get nervous, who may stumble over their words, who may not express everything in the smoothest way. But the intention feels more serious. They want to choose you without hiding behind emotional control. They want to stop pretending they are unaffected. They want to come toward you in a way that says, I know I did not handle this right before, but I do not want to keep repeating that. Tell me more. There is accountability trying to come through here. It may not be dramatic, it may not be a perfect speech, but I feel like this person knows they owe you more than vague energy. They know that if they want another chance, or even just a real conversation, they have to be clearer. And with the King of Cups reversed, their biggest challenge is not the feeling. It is emotional honesty. It is letting the feeling come out without trying to manage it, hide it, or make it look smaller than it is. So now I want to pull the final card, because this part is important for you. We need to see the advice, the warning, and what you need to remember before you respond to this person. And now we have the Two of Swords. This is the advice, and it feels very clear. The Two of Swords is about a decision, but it is also about not rushing to decide from fear, pressure, longing, or confusion. So when this person comes forward, because I do feel movement trying to happen here, your advice is to stay grounded. Do not let one emotional message erase everything you already noticed. That does not mean close your heart. It means keep your eyes open. Because this person may be stepping out of that hanged man reversed energy, that place where they were suspended in fear, stuck between wanting you and protecting themselves. They may finally be trying to leave that emotional cage, but the Two of Swords reminds you that you do not have to make it easy for them by pretending the past did not affect you. Let them show consistency. Let them explain. Let them meet you with actions, not just words that sound beautiful in the moment. What I'm feeling here is that some of you may still care about this person, but you also learned something about yourself through this connection. You learned that love cannot be one person holding the whole bridge together. You learned that chemistry is not the same as commitment. You learned that someone can have feelings and still not be ready to treat those feelings responsibly. So the warning here is not to ignore your intuition. If they come in and it feels honest, listen. If they come in and it feels vague again, listen to that too. The Two of Swords says you are allowed to pause. You are allowed to ask questions. You are allowed to say, I need to see what is different. You do not have to punish them, but you also do not have to abandon your own peace just because they are finally finding their courage. Tell me more. I feel like the final message is that this person is being called to choose you more openly, but you are also being called to choose yourself clearly. That is the balance. Let them step up, let them come forward, let them show you whether this change is real. And please remember, this is a general reading, so only take what resonates with your situation and always trust your own intuition first. There is a quiet hope here. Someone who held back their heart is beginning to understand what silence cost them. And now the choice is not only theirs, it is yours too. Thank you so much for being here with Astral Card Vault. I'm sending you calm, clarity, and a heart that knows exactly what it deserves.